Hello and welcome to Connect with Chris, where we catch up with distinguished alumni from the Quinnipiac University School of Communications. Joining us today is Weruche Uzoka George. She is the founder of Weruche Inspires International, which aims to uplift young women, immigrants, and diverse communities. Weruche, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So your big project is a series of books for children.
Correct.
Explain to me what the book series is and what your goal is.
Okay. So Princess Naku is it's a story of a young girl, a young African girl, an Igbo girl who loves to travel, and she decided that she wanted to visit all the countries in Africa, and so she spoke with her grandfather, who fought in World War II and has been to most of the countries. And so the beginning of the books would show her speaking to him and asking questions and all of that. And then, and then she would set out on her journey. And the purpose of the book is to teach people that Africa has 54 countries and 2 disputed territories. Over the years, since I've been in America, I've heard people refer to Africa as a country as opposed to a continent. And so I just decided that it's time to, educate, the West about Africa. So
is each book about a different country in Africa? Is that how you've structured it?
Yes, okay. That's how I structured it. The first book, which is The Garden of Eden, Princess Naku in Africa, The Garden of Eden, introduces, the theme and, the fact that she's going to be traveling to all these other countries. And then the other 56 books are, focused on each country. And then in the books we talk about the independence and the type of food they eat and all of that, and the people and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you get the idea for Princess Naku?
That's a very interesting question, because it's really, so I had been invited to join the Board of Ed in Hamden, but then I had some health issues I was dealing with, and so I decided that I couldn't continue on that race. So after my surgery, 5 days after surgery, I was in between pain meds, and I just got this download that said, write 50 books for children focused on Africa. And so I just texted myself that information. I was like, okay. And then I went back to sleep. And then months later, I saw the text and I remembered. I was like, oh wow, I have this project. So I started to try to force the what the theme would be, because I didn't, and so I was thinking, should I teach about the tortoise, or should I, I didn't have a clue. But then months later, it just came to me. It was like, teach about Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned to you before, I've only been to 5 countries in Africa.
Yes.
But each country that I've been to, I feel like is very distinct in the culture and very distinct in the people. Is that one of the things you're trying to convey in these books?
Yes, indeed. Because as a lot of people think about Africa and think that maybe they speak only Afrikaans or Swahili, but it's important to note that each country has its own diversity, has its own culture, has its own food and people and fashion, and it's important to identify that. Even for Africans, not everybody's been to all the countries in Africa, so it's important that we highlight, and give each country and each tribe their own honor, if so to speak.
Yeah, I think in South Africa there's actually 7 official languages.
Correct.
So,
correct.
Yeah.
And then lots and lots of other ethnic languages. Just like in Nigeria, we have 250 languages, but then we have ethnic groups, but then we have 3 major languages. So it's kind of how it works in most of the countries, yeah.
And now these books are available on Amazon on your website.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And what's next now that you've done all 57 books? What's the next project for you?
I mean, I have ideas to write plays, but I think more than just continuing in that, I'm always going to, create something, but I think it's more about speaking about these countries, because, making sure I help educate the kids, and teach the kids. The governor did an amazing thing when he, passed the Public Act in 2020. I thought that was really wonderful. And then to think that there's states in America that actually refused for African studies to be taught in the school. So
Yes.
it has become a new mission for me. You know, hopefully I can find people who can work with me to actually make sure, you know, kids in school, because it's an injustice
Yeah.
to the education system. They need to know, because at the root of it is the understanding that racism occurs because people are ignorant. People don't know. I mean, the whole idea that people came to America on slave ships, or black people came to America on slave ships, is as much as it's the reality, but it's not the whole story. You know, there were entire entire cultures and countries before these people came, and and things happened. And so it's important for us to go back to be able to put in perspective slavery and how atrocious slavery was.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been amazed with is how many students have not read the 1619 Project. I read it when it came out. I mean, I have a personal interest because Nicole Hannah-Jones was one of my former students at my previous university.
That's wonderful.
I thought it was exceptional. But when I ask students at Quinnipiac if they've read it, they don't have any idea of what I'm talking about a lot of times. And to me, that's really surprising.
Yes, yes, yes. And just like you said, it's also the reason behind that, I think, is because they didn't have a grounding of the importance or, you know, the stories of these people. A few children I've spoken with recently who've read the books, they were so happy that they learned something new about, you know, Africa, and I could see them absorbing it, and I can imagine in 10, 20 years how that information is going to inform their interactions with people, especially people of color. Yeah. You know, so so I'm hopeful that, you know, my next project involves, you know, speaking to people and making sure kids get the books. Yeah. So are you going to like elementary schools and middle schools, or how are you promoting the books? I just started, you know, we just sent out the press release, so that's part of the plan. I'd hope to speak with the governor at some point and see how we can do it. But you know, it has to follow the guidelines, you know, with the way we introduce books to kids and all of that. We have to follow those strict guidelines and stuff. Yeah. So
I know I emailed you last week. I did a quiz, and I only was able to successfully identify 20 African countries.
You did great. You did amazing.
I was a little embarrassed.
No, nothing to be embarrassed about at all. In fact, the fact that you've traveled to like five countries, correct? Yeah. That's big. Yeah. So you're very aware of the region and Africa, and so that's all we're asking, is that people have a basic understanding of Africa as being a continent, you know, than being a country. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we will be back with more with Weruche Uzoka George. We're back on Connect with Chris with Weruche Uzoka George. She's a 2014 and 2017 graduate from Quinnipiac. Weruche, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How did you get to Quinnipiac? I know you immigrated in 2005.
I did.
To Connecticut. How did you get to Quinnipiac?
Okay, so I came with my two kids. I got my asylum because I applied for my asylum. I got that, and then I tried to get my transcript from Nigeria, and it was so difficult because I did my undergrad in English in Nigeria. That was difficult to get, and so I decided to apply to Quinnipiac, and in 2 weeks they responded, and that was it. The rest is history.
And why Quinnipiac?
One, proximity to
Yeah.
my house. I had my kids, they were in programs, after school programs and all of that. I was working in a bank, and so I needed somewhere close to home. But also because of the stellar communications department,
Okay.
I thought, why not here,
Yeah. And then after you got your bachelor's degree, you went on and got your master's degree.
I did.
Why?
I did because I've always had this dream to be a journalist my entire life, from when I was like 12. But life took multiple turns, and focusing on raising the kids and became my priority. And then of course, while I was at Quinnipiac, I got involved with IRIS, Integrated Refugee and Immigrant Services, and so that sort of informed my application to Columbia to get another master's in human rights, because as we know, journalism and human rights connect.
Yes.
And so the plan for the future obviously is to keep writing. I just got off the board of the community editorial board
For the Connecticut Mirror.
For the Connecticut Mirror. I did
Yeah.
that for a year. And so now I want to just, get involved more in that capacity and write human rights stories and yeah.
Okay. Explain for people who are watching what you did for your master's thesis project.
I did a 30-minute it was a 30-minute documentary on immigrants in New Haven. Yeah.
Yeah, very large immigrant populations in New Haven.
Yes, I've met the most amazing people in that community.
Yeah.
And I got the opportunity of interviewing Roush. She's this fashion designer, and another lady, Amal. Amal is an advocate and an activist as well. And also he attended Quinnipiac. I forget his name. Fayez, I forget his name. But yeah, I interviewed him as well.
Okay.
And he's a journalist from Sudan.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I got that opportunity. So it was great just listening to their stories, and one thing, the uniting thing that I can tell you about immigrants is the common factor is the desire to go back home at some point. As much as they're here seeking refuge and all of that, they all want to go back home at some point. They wish for home as they remember home to have been, and it's touching because a lot of them are never going to go back, due to the situations in their countries. But that's the one common denominator, I should say.
Do you want to go back to Nigeria?
Yes, at some point.
Yeah. I've got to assume you still have family there.
I do. Yes, I have family, but you decide is it the safer option? You have, because when you have kids, you have to think for yourself and for your kids as well.
Yeah.
You can't make rash decisions. So
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, Weruche, this is the part of the show where we get up close and personal with our guests.
Nice.
So we're going to ask you some either/or questions, and we may ask you to explain some of them.
Okay.
First one is hot dogs or hamburgers?
Hot dogs.
And what do you like on your hot dog?
Mustard and relish.
Okay. That's pretty close to what I take.
Nice.
Mountains or beach?
Ooh, beach.
Okay.
The beach. I love the beach. Oh, the water.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Spring or fall?
Spring. It's happy.
Okay.
It's happy. It's
Things are blooming.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Okay. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee any day.
And what do you take in your coffee?
Just sugar.
All right. Straight black.
Straight black.
All right. That's a jolt. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Okay. And what type of chocolate?
Ooh, sometimes dark chocolate, sometimes white chocolate.
Okay. Candy bar, ice cream, does it matter?
Ice cream.
Okay. Good. Mornings or nights?
Nights.
Okay. Okay.
I'm more alert.
Drama or comedy?
Drama.
Ooh.
Drama.
Give me a favorite drama show on TV.
On TV.
Or movie.
Or a movie. How about one of the plays I've watched? The Undoing of Prudencia Hart. It's like an Irish play that came to Yale at some point.
Okay.
But it was great.
Okay. Steak or seafood?
Seafood any day.
Okay, excellent. High five or fist pump. What kind of seafood?
Oh, everything. Shrimp, oysters.
Okay,
yeah.
good for you. All right, this is going to be a tough one. We're getting to the difficult ones now.
Okay.
Pepe's or Sally's for pizza?
Ooh, Pepe's, I guess. That's
Okay.
pepperoni, right?
It can be.
Okay, yes. I'm not a pizza fan, by the way.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
Oh, dogs all day.
Do you have a dog?
I'd have 3.
You have 3.
I do.
What kind are they and what are their names?
They're a blend, a Jack Tzu, so Jack Russell, and then
And a Shih Tzu?
and a Shih Tzu, Suevo, Tiger, and Jupiter.
Nice names.
Thank you.
I like those names.
Thank you.
All right, last question, most difficult question.
Mm-hmm.
Red Sox or Yankees?
I think Red Sox. I'm not a football fan either.
This is actually baseball.
My point's exactly. But yes, so I would say Red Sox.
All right. Great answer.
That is funny.
All right, I would like to thank my guest, Weruche George, for joining us on Connect with Chris. It's been great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And please be sure to turn into our podcast, Uncommon Grounds, where I interview current students from here at the School of Communications. Thanks for joining us.